Welcome to the wrap-up and closing session, everyone. We hope you have gained tons of insights in the workshops in between the welcome session and now.
And we're already here with Anne Schreiter, who was hosting the session on the Wissenschaftszeitvertragsgesetz, everything you need to know or didn't dare to ask. And Birte will join us in a minute. You were part in Birte's session.
Yes, I was listening to Birte's session. She will be here in any moment. This wrap-up and closing session is all about satisfying your FOMO, your potential fear of missing out. If you were really torn about whether to go to Anne's session or Birte's session, this is your way of finding out what useful hands-on advice was shared in the respective other sessions, so you will also can make use of that. Yes, Anne, maybe why don't we take a moment and already dive into a little bit of the Wissenschaftszeitvertragsgesetz and your insights from that sessions while Birte is about to join us. What concrete hands-on ideas did the speakers share in your session?
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe people who are still in Birte's session then missed.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
yes,
maybe you need to play a trick and ask people other cool questions. And we
yeah, no worries.
Another 2 minutes.
Okay.
We asked people a question in the chat.
Yes.
Did you join? Were you part of the Wissenschaftszeitvertrag session, or did you join any session today which session did you join?
So far.
And nice.
All right, so we have great. So people are coming maybe also from the glass ceiling session. Wonderful. Thank you. I see also a jump in numbers of people coming. Great. Let's see.
Yeah. And thanks also for also posting about our cooperation with 21 Skills. Again, you can also find that in the lobby. But thanks again.
Welcome, Katja. There is no need to feel bad about anything. We just wanted to check in, and we're glad you could make it, even for this wrap-up session.
And this wrap-up session will be recorded, and the recording will be published, and also the welcome session of today it has already been recorded, and it will also be published through the GSO. Exactly.
Yes, more people joining. Let's hear again. If you have been in Birte's session, have you already made your way over to this one? And type in the chat so we know. There she is. Wonderful. Perfect. So now we know that everyone's here. Welcome, Birte.
So sorry, as usual.
No.
Take the same last year. Also, I came late to the wrap-up session.
It all speaks for the importance of the topic. So as someone who has been part of your session and could listen to it, I can only understand very well how there can always be more time spent. But now as we hear, and as this session is all about catering the FOMO, catering your potential fear of missing out for those who have just joined us, we will hear from Anne and Birte about their respective sessions. So if you have not been part of Anne's session or not been part of Birte's session, you can still learn about the hands-on advice that has been given there. Why don't you start?
Yeah, let's start with Anne. You had Katharina Lemke with you from the Deutsche Hochschulverband, and also Tracy Whittaker, who's the spokesperson of the Max Planck Postdoc Net. And they are both experts in the Wissenschaftszeitvertragsgesetz coming from different angles. So what were the concrete hands-on ideas both of them shared with you, Anne?
So number one, I think it's really important to know what actually is that law, right? And even I have to read it again because it makes a little bit more sense. Katharina explained it in all legal terms. So this is not a legal term way. I'm explaining it right now, so bear with me. So the German Academic Fixed Term Contract Act is a legal bill That's important. That regulates fixed-term employment contracts. It's important. It's about contracts. It's not about time you were unpaid or contracts you spent abroad, right? That's important. So contracts in Germany and working conditions in the academic sector in Germany. So that is also important. It's for a specific group that works in a scientific or has scientific tasks. So if you're like a TA, a technician, or something else, then it does not apply. I think that is really important. And the initial idea was actually to, accelerate the time between the end of your PhD and then getting maybe a professorship or even leaving academia. So it was well intended. However, it led to a lot of restrictions. And these restrictions are number one, very good question was what even happens after those 6 years. So what is like a career strategy? Where does that whole thing lead to? Because as you might know, there are not as many so-called permanent positions in academia. So that was a big question. The second point was what did I just say?
The 6 years.
Yes, 6 years. Yeah. I think that is the second important point. How long does it apply and who does it apply to? That was a big question because you now have those 6 + 6 years. So meaning 6 years before your PhD and 6 years after your PhD. However, there is some sort of movement in those time spans depending on, for instance, the time of your PhD. If that was only 3 years, then you will get those additional 3 years for your postdoc phase. If you have a child, we're on parental leave, that will also be added. If you were abroad, that doesn't count. So there are very, very many individual questions that make it so complicated because you always need sort of exemptions from the rule. And I think a big piece of advice was number one, you really should know that this law exists and you should get help and advice for your individual situation. And that means, last point, that means that you should really you should really document your employment history, your contracts, make sure you have all of that so you can go to your HR or your PI and ask good questions and give them the right sort of information.
Yeah, that's totally, that's what I heard when I listened in on that session is like, it's hyper complex, you have this one document, it's all in German, and also all the updates that are added to this document are all in German, and it really there's no one shoe fits all solution because you are all the people watching here at home, you're all individual people, so you will need an individual solution. So go out there and try to get this advice.
Who can you get the advice from?
Yeah, so I think Anna already mentioned that partially, I think, and also because I said a lot of these informations are in German. I think Tracy from the Max Planck Postdoc Net, she beautifully pointed out that they're putting together a resource package all in English, which is about to be published. So stay on track with the Max Planck Postdoc Network to look for this resource package if German is not your mother tongue. And aside of that, be proactive. You could also, I think that was an interesting approach, you could ask your PI to help you navigate this, right? Sometimes PIs kind of do this for all of their postdocs in their lab or all of their PhDs. I found that a very interesting approach. And otherwise, you really have to go out there and do it yourselves, right? So the Deutsche Hochschulverband, and we had Katharina Lemke with us, they're one of the people that I think you could reach out to answer your question. Anne?
Yeah, and one last thing, in the lobby, you can also find one of our articles where we sort of summarized some of the things about the Wissenschaftszeitvertragsgesetz, and you will also find some further resources there.
Fantastic. Maybe that can be posted in the resource section or the chat again. Birte, your session on glass ceilings in academia and what you can do about them. What was your biggest takeaway from that session?
Yeah, I wanted to also post something like English language link where to find a little bit more about the Wissenschaftszeitvertragsgesetz. And
Wonderful, thank you.
Fantastic.
so, yeah, I like that initiative, and they work on expanding in English also.
Great. Your session, what's your biggest takeaway?
Yes, there was so much. So it was I really liked that in the beginning all three speakers gave us basically a crash course on what glass ceilings actually can mean, and that it can be many intersectional things, and those things can change. You know, for instance, now I might be, I don't have any children, but once I become a mother, my situation also, or my chances to actually walk against glass ceilings improve. Or if I become chronically ill, or if I have to take care of someone. So this can change over time and has many different dimensions. So we cleared that up a little bit in the beginning. And it was also very personal, I would say, sharing personal experiences. And because there was so much information, and also I think so much good advice, what each and every individual can do to feel they have agency and are not at the mercy of the system, as it has been mentioned before. So this time I took a screenshot with the messages at the end. So, and it's easy to sum up. So basically what our speaker said, what helps against glass ceilings is network, get together, build community, ask each other questions, tell each other, share information and knowledge and stories. Verena recommended to get at least 2 mentors. One is not, you need to have a second one for a different. And also, I think that's important, listen to your boundaries and to your needs. And Taiwo said, take ownership of your career. So that can also mean to have a plan B or an exit strategy, or to reflect on if this is what you want, or if there's something else where you could go. And Soumya gave 3 tips in the end on how to deal with glass ceilings. That is, create visibility or representation, connect with the network, get into networks, and also, and I like that very much, support each other to seek support.
Support each other to seek support. That is the perfect segue in a question that we will now ask the audience. We are about almost 100 people here in the audience. So now this question is for you all. Please type into the chat, what is your personal #1 takeaway from your afternoon session?
If you attended one of those, right?
Exactly. Whether you have been with Anne or with Birte, it doesn't matter. Type your #1 takeaway session advice or takeaway from your afternoon session into the chat and hit send, so you support this community of attendees here seeking support by sharing your advice. What is your individual takeaway?
And what Birte just beautifully said, I think it's really interesting. It resonated deeply with me because it was also like a lot of the topics that came up in the welcome session this morning, right? This afternoon, sorry. But
yes. Networking, dare to apply to positions you don't think you're qualified for. It's not personal, it's the system. You are not alone. Stipends and work abroad does not count into the Wissenschaftszeitvertragsgesetz. I think, Muna, you might want to say, I'm not alone facing glass ceilings in academia in Germany. Das beruhigt mich.
I hope so.
I hope so. And to be aware of weaknesses and think about what strengths come out of that to sell it like that. Thank you all for sharing. This is it for today.
Exactly.
But
this was only the first day of the To Be Honest conference. We have another full day tomorrow with 4 sessions, 2 consecutive, 2 running parallel each. And so we will start at 1:45 with the welcome session, 15 minutes, and then we'll jump right into those 4 sessions. I think Kubra from the GSO was so kind and posted them in the Q&A box. It's going to be about visibility. It's going to be about setting yourself up for lucky coincidences.
It's about what you should know and don't dare to ask about selection committees. So if you're facing one of those rather sooner or later, that might be your session. And it's going to be about academia, beyond academia, the employer's perspective. And then after all of that, we're going to have another short 15-minute closing wrap-up session, so you don't fear so much of missing out when you can only choose one session. To end today, we want to pass on the word for one final goodbye announcement and whatever is on your mind to Anne to wrap up this day. Anne.
I think you said it all beautifully. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, and we're very happy that you took something away from today. That's how it's supposed to be. Please spread the word. Join us tomorrow, and thank you for being here today.
Take care, everyone, and support each other.
Bye-bye.